So I just realized I was not live for the last 2 minutes, and I was starting to talk there, so I'm going to kick it up from the top. Yeah, so sorry to those who are just watching. Liam Ridlings feels like is in here, so let's get this boat moving. I'm going to refresh my page real quick and try and send this out on Twitter. We got 16 watching now. All right, we're good. Whatever. So we're moving on through. Day 6, pads come on. Special teams work early, as I said. Sorry to repeat myself for those who have been with me, but special teams work early. Watching some linebacker drills, watching guys like Malik Harrison shed violently against some sleds. LJ Fort, Christian Welch really looked strong there. Patrick Queen kind of was not looking the way you want him to through that, but again, just through drills. An interesting thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't think this is by any fault of Patrick Queen, and maybe it's something in his contract. Who knows? I don't think Hayden Hurst played special teams. I'm just not sure why Patrick Queen doesn't play special teams. Ed Reed played special teams. I guess they want him healthy. He's a first-round pick. It's not like he was a top 5 pick. I just personally, nothing against the Ravens, whatever, but my philosophy, especially even last year, would have been get this guy on the field, let him go seek some contact, let him go get his feet wet in terms of special teams. And through special teams drills, maybe he's tight, maybe that's why, but we didn't see that last year. So he's just off on the side talking to Rob Ryan most of the time. And I don't get that. I don't like that. And I don't think it's by any fault of Patrick Queen. I would just rather see him on special teams, at least in practice, or something of the sort. Let him get his feet wet. I think, that could have helped him maybe a little bit last year. Again, it is a lot for him to take on, and they did want him to have a full-time role as a player. Didn't have a ton of experience, but why not have him on? I just don't get it. I don't get why not have him on special teams to some degree. One unit, maybe it doesn't have to be kickoff. Maybe it's punt. Maybe it's punt, something. Let him, I feel like that's a good way to integrate yourself. Pardon me, I'm getting a phone call here. A good way to integrate yourself into, the play speed, the contact, what the physicality level is, all that good stuff. Special teams, and this is, I don't mean to talk about high school football. We're talking about the NFL, but, freshmen who come up or even at the college level, freshmen who are or redshirt freshmen, they're playing special teams, man. So I just, Ed Reed played special teams. We've seen some great special teams players that were high draft picks in the Ravens history. It just feels like they avoid that now. It's not going to be a point of emphasis for first round picks, but Malik Harrison's playing special teams. Tyus Bowser was like 15 picks away from Patrick Queen. Bowser's played 1,000 special team snaps to this point in his career. I get it. You want Queen healthy, but whatever. I'm not going to harp on that too much. I already have. So we'll keep on moving. Special teams work. Like I said, Jalen Ferguson looked extremely disruptive in special teams work, which was nice. Ben Mason looks good there. He's going to be a good special teamer and allow Pat Ricard to not have to keep doing that quite as much. I'm sure they'll still use him, but Mason's, hunting. He wants to prove himself. Mason got into 2 fights throughout practice today, one with Patrick Queen. I couldn't really see that one all that well, but Jalen Ferguson and him kind of emerged from a run play. And Ferguson was just pissed. Mason's, annoying him, which is what you want Mason to be doing, a la what Dan Campbell was talking about today. If you saw his comments, he wants guys to almost be fighting, chomping at the bit. So that was interesting. And Ferguson kind of just gave him a couple slaps. It wasn't a skirmish or anything. Ferguson was just a little pissed, and he rolled away from it immediately. But I thought Ferguson looked disruptive. And as I'm going through my notes here, there were some one-on-ones for the receivers and the DBs. I had Jalen Moore beat Anthony Averett over top. And there's a couple big plays there through one-on-ones. I think, some guys were limited, but Deion Kane had a really strong day again today. He caught 2 deep balls. He just is able to work himself open downfield with body positioning, with spacing, with timing. He arrives at the catch point really smoothly. So he seems to be a good tracker deep. He's a good outside option, man. I don't know if he's going to be beating a Jalen Ramsey or beating anything crazy. He did beat Marlon Humphrey over top. I think that was the only pass I saw Marlon Humphrey get completed on him today, but that was like the first play of practice. So I skipped around a little bit, but going through practice, Marlon Humphrey, they get together for full team 11 on 11. Calais Campbell's screaming with his helmet off on the field, getting everybody hyped up. Marlon Humphrey just comes in going, yeah, 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 just screaming, getting ready to hit. And it's not tackle or anything, but the linemen are hitting, guys are wrapping up, that good stuff. It's not full contact, but it's wrap up, it's get off blocks, it's hit. It's very, very physical. So things I had written down. OA took on Ben Cleveland. So they were doing running drills first. It was just front sevens. So it was run only. And OA filled Cleveland and pretty much stopped him in his tracks a little bit on a pull, on a power right. So he stopped him dead in his tracks. OA is looking freaking good, man. OA's looking really good. I had Ferguson 8, Tony Poljan, however you pronounce his name. Ferguson was crashing pretty well. Josh Oliver actually had a nice chip on Ferguson, and Oliver had a couple nice blocks. Pernell McPhee tossed Oliver aside a little bit, but Oliver kind of angled. He did his job still. So Oliver's looking solid. Day one as a blocker was nice to see. I just wrote down Marlon screaming as I talked about. We had 11 on 11s. Huntley found Kane, passed Humphrey for 30 yards. Tavon Young got out there. So people haven't been hearing about Tavon Young. He hasn't been doing 11 on 11. He's been doing positional drills, easing himself into it. One of the first plays he's out there, there's an RPO, and he is this close to Tyler. Like he wasn't going to hit him or anything. He was not even close to hitting him. He was fully controlled. As soon as Huntley emerges from the it might have been a play action or an RPO. I wasn't looking at the lineman particularly on this play, but Huntley kind of goes through the read with Dobbins, I believe, and Tavon's just standing there like completely blew the play up, completely disrupted everything. So he looks really good out there. It was super gun heavy today in full team. There was a lot of stuff at a gun, a little bit under center. So there is some under center work. The Ravens were dead last in the NFL in under center usage. I was going back through my Sports Info Solution handbook from 2020 last night for an article I wrote. You can see that on BaltimoreBeatdown.com. It's called The Blitzing Mullet Presents Organized Chaos. Just a little bit of information on Wink Martindale, some quotes he said, and how the defense has changed since 2018 when he took over. But gun heavy. Deshaun Elliott had a really nice pass breakup on Mark Andrews over the middle of the field, kind of. Elliott has been super sharp, super aggressive. He actually unloaded on Tony Poljan, whatever it is, in the back of the end zone and split field work a little bit later. That was the first real that I heard, and he kind of crushed him. Devontae Harris dropped a pick. There's a lot of dropped picks by the defense today. I think Khalil Dorsey dropped a pick, but he jumped it beautifully. So gotta get those. Dalen Hayes was cooking. The offensive line just got kind of dominated a good bit today. You know, it's a mixed bag. So people are like, oh, the line's not good. But it was like, you know, there's third stringers working with first stringers. Villanueva wasn't out there. Zeitler's hurt. There's no Ronnie Stanley, whatever. So the defense definitely won. Calais Campbell generally just annihilated the offense today. He had at least 2 sacks. One of them, he kind of just like runs past Huntley to get away from any contact with Huntley. And he is just flexing while he runs. He's just going, in like running. So it was funny, but also terrifying at the same time. He blew up everything consistently. I also had Phillips pulled really well today. His pulls look a lot cleaner with his footwork. It looks like he's starting to really square down. Cleveland, you know, we'll get into that a little later, but Cleveland was pulling too. Cleveland had some nice pulls, but Phillips looks pretty good in the run game at left guard. Makari was getting a lot of time at left tackle today. Andre Smith was getting a lot of time at tackle with Villanueva out. Ely, I didn't really get to key on Ely a ton, so I don't have any, you know, positive or negative from today on that. But Ely was out there a ton as well at tackle, so he's definitely in the mix. What else do I got here? My notes are all flipped around. So Benjamin Victor, toe tapper. He is like a deer out there. He's wiry. He's super quick and sudden and kind of violently able to snap around a good bit. I got a question here from Fritz Hood. How are the quarterbacks looking? I'll get to the questions later. I really didn't focus on the quarterbacks a ton today, but they got annihilated. Like, there was pressure every other play. The defense was chomping at the bit to blow them up. So the quarterbacks I didn't really focus on a ton. It was you know, a pretty big day. I didn't see, and I'll get to the questions, but I didn't see who Ben Cleveland put on their back. I think Ryan Mink tweeted that out. I didn't see that one, but Cleveland, I did see a pull on, it looked like a power sweep type play, like a buck sweep type play. And Cleveland gets out in front. Cleveland has this, he's pretty long and he's a big dude. He kind of puts his head down a little early, and he really like puts his head down a little early for me. but he uses his length at the same time. So I'm not, exactly sure how to dictate that. He was sucking wind a lot, but he was also moving a lot, and he was moving better than I expected. He was pulling. They were working on it. Anthony Levine, he just kind of walled out of a play, like just took him out. Levine wanted is Anthony Levine going to take on Ben Cleveland in day one of padded practice? Hell to the no. I wouldn't. You wouldn't. So Cleveland is a massive, massive human being. It looked like Bradley Bozeman was really sharp all day. He has a good pace. He is hustling. He's getting to the line. He's in really good shape. He's, keeping the tempo, getting to the line of scrimmage. Snaps were all accurate, all good stuff there. So there was one-on-ones on. So the Ravens are mixing up the fields right now. So I've talked about it previously. There's the single field, which has a ton of seating for fans, and that's usually where things go down. And then there's the double fields kind of perpendicular to it. So the double fields had all the DBs and receivers at one point, all the, position players, I guess, on one side. And then they took the offensive linemen and the defensive linemen, and they were standing there. So you have to try to see over them. And there's some angles where you could see some things going on, but if you were to walk all the way around to where you could see, the drill would have taken 10 minutes unless I ran, which maybe I will. I'll be the hardo next time. I'll sprint, and everyone will be like, God, that guy's a loser. But so I could see basically that Justin Madubuike was whooping whoever was there. I saw him beat Cleveland. I saw him beat Zeitler. I saw him beat Powers. I saw him beat Cleveland I saw him beat Cleveland by getting Roadrunner close to the ground and ripping, and he was like skating. It was like a motorcycle. He was so low to the ground. It was like a motorcycle when you see like videos where guys are like so low to the ground. It's terrifying, and they wreck sometimes and stuff. He was scooting on the floor, and I saw him rip under Cleveland. Cleveland washed him out a little, but Madubuike got him. Again, it's like Kyle and I were talking about it at camp today. How much are we going to talk about this guy? We don't want to be it's him, it's James Prochet, guys like that. And we don't want to be consistently, this guy every day, it gets old, so we want to give you guys new information. But again, he's just so explosive out of his stance. He's still very young, so he's still giving maximum effort in like every drill. Whereas, Calais Campbell and some of the guys are kind of walking through the drills, working on technique and slow motion a little more. He's not. He's firing off the ball. He's going to be a problem. I think Bradley Bozeman was talking about how he's one of the harder players he's ever had to try to move. I don't know what you do there. He's a modern interior defensive lineman. I think he could play, standing outside linebacker in some situations. I think he could play 5 tech, 4 tech, 3 tech, all the way down to a 1 technique. So all good things there. Him and Campbell were extremely disruptive all day. It looked like Broderick Washington had a nice day. I had Khalil Dorsey with the missed interception. I had Calais was a monster. Brandon Stevens had some nice moments in split field, goal-to-go, 7-on-7. He had some really tight coverage. A theme has kind of been Tylan Wallace running digs or short ins or, just those intermediate, the level 1 or level 2 intermediate inbreakers and putting the ball out of harm's way where only he can get it, and he gets it every time. So he's been a good middle of the field threat, which is what we saw at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, that he was getting a lot of work from the slot and getting a lot of work that way because Oklahoma State never utilized him that way. Never, ever, ever utilized him that way. I think he played 97% of his snaps at right wide receiver boundary. I think he played 1.5% of his snaps at left wide receiver boundary, and then like 0.5 at slot right wide receiver. So good to see him working that way. Jalen Moore had a couple of nice catches today. Again, Deion Kane looks really good. Rashad Bateman had a fantastic, I want to say it looked like a 2 high. It could have been cover 6. It could have been cover 2, but it was Marlon Humphrey squatting on the left side. Bateman was the left wide receiver. I believe it was in a twins formation, a 2x2. And it looked like he ran a slant or some sort of zone beating, maybe option slant. And the ball was not terribly accurate. It was over the middle of the field on the first day of padded practice when he missed practice yesterday. And he had an incredible fingertip catch. He had some space around him, and it looked like he was going to have to dive for it. And he just took one step and caught himself and got upfield. So he was doing quite well. there. He did have a really bad drop in split field 7-on-7s and goal to go. He had a drop in the back of the end zone. It was a really, 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 really hard throw, high velocity throw, and it clapped off his hands. He was pissed. Sammy Watkins had a couple catches there. He was a little bit pissed. Prochet did something in positional drills where it was just receivers on the far side of the field that had like the maybe 50, 100 fans that are all the way on the other side of the field. They were going crazy about it. It looked like a toe tap catch on the outside. And then I believe he scored a touchdown as well. I couldn't quite see. But Tavon Young, I watched lock him down a couple times. So it's going to be interesting to see him deal with Tavon and some other guys as he's been beating up on Khalil Dorsey. But again, he's been the workhorse of practice, catching a ton of balls overall. I really like Pat McCarry's pass sets today. I couldn't really see him. He was left tackle and they were going away from me for most of practice. So it was kind of on the other side of the field, but I saw his pass sets because he was coming towards me. Those looked really good. He was working at left tackle. Again, Tyree Phillips, I think, had a strong day. Ben Cleveland Ben Cleveland is the kind of player right now to me that in pass sets, he's going to wall off his gap, but he's not sustaining blocks as much as you'd love to see. But again, it's early on. I think he really knows how to use his length, kind of like an Orlando Brown as a guard in ways. Like he knows how to get you out of his area, but he's not really following, he's not being able to block guys in pass sets all the way through the end of the play. He does kind of like that lean a little bit. And Orlando Brown talked about it on Game Pass with Brian Baldinger and Ron Jaworski, I think, about how he's so tall and long. He likes to sit as low as he can and make himself as long as he can, utilize all of his length. So I think that that was definitely a similarity in ways as a guard, if that makes sense. It's not like it's a little bit of an apple to oranges situation, but it was strong overall. Big day overall. Padded pads were on. Like I said, the one hit that I really saw was Deshaun Elliott. J.K. Dobbins is just so much better than the other running backs. Nate McCrary wasn't very impressive to me, to be honest. Overall, I don't think he really has a shot of making the team if he doesn't have a huge sort of end of camp or preseason. Tyson Williams looks all right. I think he's got some vision. I think he's got some patience. Justice Hill had I think it was Trace McSorley flipped him a swing pass into the flats. I couldn't really tell whose responsibility it should have been defensively. Kyle was asked. I couldn't see. Kyle was asking me. He was asking if it was Queen. I just couldn't see. And Justice Hill made a nice shoestring catch on a swing, like a flat swing, and took that at least 15 yards. He also had, he's just a really nice perimeter runner. He had a nice kind of, I guess it was probably a veer or something where he was able to bounce to the outside. He's got some speed there, but J.K. Dobbins is just moving different. His bounce, his wiggle, his ability to kind of, they're wrapping up. Some guys fall on the ground through plays and there's some thumps, but J.K. Dobbins is, one of those shorter, absolute meatball players that can really thump you in your solar plex, right in your freaking jejunum and knock the wind out of you. He had a cut towards the end of practice. I had to leave like 15 minutes early because I had some other responsibilities, but he had a cut that was video game down the field. I want to say it looked like maybe a midline zone type play, like a B gap zone. And he started to break right and he changed direction so violently from his right to his left and just kind of was squirting. And I looked at Kyle. I was like, whoo, okay. He's moving really, 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 really well. He's explosive. He's been good in the pass game. Everything you want to see. Daniel Jeremiah was there today. He was talking about how he thinks Dobbins is going to have 1,500 yards this year rushing. 1,200 yards would not shock me at all. 1,500 would be insane. But I don't know if he's going to get that kind of volume. But if he's averaging 6 yards a carry, the sky's the limit. Villanueva wasn't out there today. So, again, it was, Ely, it was McCarry, it was a couple guys like that. But overall, it was a big day. Ben Mason, kind of the storylines. Ben Mason was getting through and causing some problems a little bit. He was moving all around. He was all over the place. I thought Josh Oliver looked really sharp as a blocker today. He chipped Jalen Ferguson and smashed him inside and then went for a route where he ended up getting open. I don't think he got the ball. I couldn't quite see all the way downfield, but really big day there. Physical day. LJ Fort looked really good as usual. He just he just looks good, man. He looks in shape. He looks good overall. Queen was wrapping up a lot. Queen was making some plays in there, moving around. He looks pretty calm in coverage. Downfield, I don't know how much I trust him. He's just not very long. So people look at Fred Warner and guys like that. Queen's just 5'11", 6 foot. Got a shorter wingspan. So I don't know about him carrying downfield really well, but there were a few dropped interceptions, like I mentioned. I saw Rashad Bateman gave Marcus Peters a little bit of a stop and go on a hitch, and he broke to the outside on a little, it wasn't a comeback. It was only like 5 or 6 yards. He had a nice little move there. I think Tylan Wallace has done well. And again, Deion Kane really stood out to me for like the third or fourth straight day. He kind of struggled to get accurate passes the first few days, but now he's kind of like the consistent deep threat right now, I'd say, on the practice team. And without a lot of these guys, he's been able to get some matchups. And like I said, he beat Marlon deep, reeled in another deep pass. So I just really love his tracking. I love how smooth he is. I think he knows how to get to the catch point. He's had really consistent hands. Mark Andrews had a couple snags. I didn't see a ton of catches out of Josh Oliver. I can't see everything. Sometimes I'm just focusing on the line and things like that. But to me, Dalen Hayes had a good day. Jalen Ferguson was a little disruptive, a good bit. But, Chuck Clark, we haven't really seen anything too crazy. I think Tavon Young is just, if he can stay healthy, man, he's that silent. He has that sneakiness to him. I'm very, very sneaky. His ability to just emerge out of like the sneaky little nickel blitzes. He stays really low and paces himself, and he has a good feel or good, film study and feel for where the play is going to be. Right in people's faces a couple times. I think he, if he can heal up, he's going to look good again. And he's such a good nickel blitzer. Remember that Atlanta Falcons game where he's back there and able to scoop and score and do some of the things he does. He just is such a niche player and has such a knack for making plays and finding the football and blowing up some runs and things like that. So that was all good stuff. Chris Westry, I didn't get to see a ton out of today. Nigel Warrior laid the wood a couple times. Nigel Warrior had a pass breakup as well. I think he's a big dude. He's not quite Jimmy's size, but he's like a little bigger than Chuck Clark and built like a little bit thicker than Chuck Clark, just a hair. He's a big dude. I think he's definitely making this team. I would be remiss if he didn't. I would be pretty surprised. He looks physical. He looks in tune. It seems like they trust him. They're sticking him at boundary corner so that Brandon Stevens can get reps. So yeah, it's a lot to try to take in. Padded practice. You try to look somewhere and nothing happens. The play goes away from where you were looking, and it's live action out there. And sometimes you don't have the best angles to see. And again, they weren't on the ideal field to be able to get shit done. And it was a little bit of a chaotic day today, but Calais Campbell was wreaking havoc. Again, the quarterbacks are just running for their lives a lot out there today. So you like to see it. Pernell McPhee looked disruptive. All good things from the defense today, I'd say. There was a couple tough catches and things like that, but ultimately, big day for the defense. Again, back-to-back days, they've definitely won. I think if you go look at Jonas Schaefer, Daniel Yafusi, who I got the pleasure of speaking with for a little bit today. I never got to really chat with him before, but Dan's a good guy. And a couple other people. Jerry Coleman, I was chatting with for a while. He's a trip. Love Jerry. I used to do some PA stuff at 105.7. I never really got to work with him. I was more with like Scott and Jeremy sometimes and things like that. But that was a lot of fun. He had some stories. Adelius Thomas was there at camp today with Dick Cass talking to some of the PSL VIPs and doing some fun stuff. So it was all good vibes today. Good stuff. No injuries. You want to knock on wood there for a team you cover as well as a team that you're a fan of, like me, where I blur those lines for sure. It was a good day out there. Overall, offensively, Prochet had a nice day. Kane had a nice day. Sammy Watkins catches his passes, and I think he's kind of slowed down a little bit. Defense is starting to win again, and some good stuff. But the physicality was there. It was fun to see, and day one, and guys are getting testy. So ultimately, it's going to be a good day, and it's going to be a good week. I'm excited for tomorrow as well. I'm not sure if they're padded tomorrow, but I assume so. I'm not 100% there, but ultimately, I'm excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I'm going to head out of here after I answer some of these questions. I appreciate you guys. Thoughts on the Bud Light Seltzer Fall Pack? Have never had a Bud Light Seltzer. I'll get in there. Bud Light, I'm kind of made myself allergic to. It's like I had maybe 500 in one football season a couple years ago. Crisp apple, toasted marshmallow. Oh, okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Patrick Queen is soft. No, Patrick Queen's a violent dude. He just plays really fast, and that leads. It's kind of like Devin White. I mean, I think he models himself after him. They went to LSU together, and Patrick Queen was recruited or went on his recruiting visit, followed him around, and plays the same position. He was talking about that after the presser yesterday. Wants to get with him. So when you play that fast, there's going to be mistakes, especially when you're young. And Devin White really rounded into form. I think White is a little bit more of a brick shithouse than Patrick Queen, but ultimately, I think he's modeling his game that way. He's going to make explosive plays. He's going to run himself out of some plays, but he's playing fast. He's playing hard. I think soft is the last thing I'd call him. Hello from Kansas. What's up, King Kaiser? Prochet had another good day today. I wonder if he can earn the wide receiver 4 spot. I don't think he'd make the team. Josh Oliver might be the steal of the offseason. Josh Oliver is one of the best kept secrets in the NFL right now. 6 days through practice, I think he's going to do some good things. I don't know why the Jags didn't want him. Who knows? Maybe just sour and he had a bad relationship there. But this is the thing. Prochet, Duvernay is playing the flanker. Duvernay is playing a different role. He's being used as a Z a lot. He's coming in motion a lot. Prochet is a slot receiver. So they're like kind of the second team guys. They're the rotational guys that are going to come in and get their snaps. Is Anthony Averett looking better? Anthony Averett had some nice run fills. He caught some running backs by surprise. He had some nice flat responsibility today, but he's still getting his feet wet. He was out of shape a little bit, it sounds like. I know Hollywood's injury is more serious than you had originally thought, but how serious? Is there a chance he misses any regular season games? It's a hammy. So, I mean, I have personal experience with hamstring injuries. I'm not Hollywood Brown. I don't have the Ravens training staff or anything. I just have a physician. But when I pulled my hammy, I couldn't walk. Like it kind of completely goes out. Like I couldn't walk. I was watching Hollywood stretch out and stretch out and stretch out and not be, and he just kind of walked inside, didn't have that much of a limp or anything, went inside. So I know when mine went out twice, I kind of didn't recover it fully. And both times I couldn't walk. Like I could not walk. It took a month to be able to not really feel it pulled, like extending in the muscle. So that's just my own personal experience on it. It took me about a month to be able to go ice, all that stuff. I'm sure they've got mechanisms and things that can improve that, but it didn't look too bad when I saw it happen. Tylan Wallace, like I said, running a lot of digs, running a lot of in-breaking concepts, able to go up and get the ball over the middle of the field very fearlessly, has good body control. So I think Wallace is good. I think he's a good addition, and I think he's going to have a role in this team for sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be, more than 10 or 15, 20 catches this year, especially in this heavy run attack, but we'll see how it plays out. Calais, come on, somebody do it. I'm going to beat you guys. Seen Pat and Ben Mason mix it up. I didn't see that one. Any notes on Duvernay? P.S. Love the Calais impression. Yeah, like I just touched on Duvernay. Love to hear about Oweh. He takes on pullers. He took on Ben Cleveland. He was out there. He was making plays. Him and Dalen Hayes both were making plays, man. I don't know about Hayes as a pass rusher, but you're running option. There's going to be an unblocked defender. What I like about Dalen Hayes is that he really cuts the distance, and he knows he can read when he's unblocked very quickly, and he can sit in the right spot and surf, or he can sit and go in low gear and wait for the play, and he just is really efficient in taking his unblocked pass. So that was all good stuff. In all fairness, Tay should know the playbook better than his birth certificate. I guess talking about Tavon Young. Yeah, he does. He definitely does. How are the quarterbacks looking? I touched on that. Let's see. J.K. Dobbins, I touched on him. Does J.K. Dobbins need a higher rating on Madden? He's not even yeah, J.K. Dobbins isn't a top 20 running back. Like, okay, whatever. Is it me, or is Prochet a bit slow for the punt returner position? He's just such a short strider. He'll go get 10 yards like every time, but he has these choppy little strides. He's a lot quicker than he is fast. He reminds me of Cole Beasley a little bit. He's not quite as snappy as Cole Beasley in option routes and things, but just kind of that kind of speed where, he's just a cruiser. He doesn't have a high top speed. Edwards yard per carry, something. Thanks for these summaries. Of course, got you guys. Been doing these every day I go. Did we draft this year's Justin Jefferson? I think Bateman can be 80%, not numbers wise. Vikings throw the ball more. Everyone throws the ball more, but I think he can be like 80, 90%. He's not as long and lanky, and he's not as like unpredictable, I guess. I mean, Justin Jefferson really is kind of a unique mover, so it's hard to call someone like that. They're not built exactly the same, but in terms of being a really detailed route runner that can just separate and, go catch balls away from his body and all that. He has a 76-inch wingspan. He's only 6 foot, but he's got the wingspan of a 6'4" person. So, a little bit longer. JK is a different breed. Yes, he is. Tight end 3, Engraven up in here somewhere. Love to see it. Engraven, you're a great dude. Hopefully we can link up soon. Who do you think will have a better year, Sammy or Rashad? I think that Bateman's going to start out. The Ravens don't throw their rookies into the fire all that often. As a first-round pick, he definitely will be expected to, but I don't know if he's going to be sort of getting 40 snaps in his first game. It might be 10, 15, 20. I think Watkins is going to come on strong. They're going to rely on the veteran out of the gate. Then you want to kind of ease Watkins snaps towards the middle of the season, let Bateman get his work in, get really comfortable. Hopefully the Ravens are able to have a good record. And then that would be my prediction. I'm going to do some statistical predictions towards the end of camp here. I've been working with Mike Clay from ESPN, who's been very generous. I shot him a DM and asked him some questions. He's helping me come up with a model to do some statistical projections, and I'll definitely be basing mine on his a little bit. Rest that ham. Pause. Got to give that ham some time, baby. Hollywood is in the precautionary stage from what it looks like. He definitely probably strained his hamstring or something. So I'm sure they're being precautionary, but I don't think that he isn't slightly hurt. I'm kind of grasping straws there. But who looks like the 6 receivers this year? Whew, man, I like Deion Kane, man. I like Prochet. I like Duvernay. I like Wallace. So they're not cutting Wallace. I don't think you can – if Prochet does 70% of what he's done so far through preseason and through the rest of camp, can't let him go. So Boykin, IR stash, probably. Sounds like they've got a little, we'll give you some time. He's got a really bad hamstring. Corey Vedvik got beat up in the middle of the night. No one saw it. And no one ever saw him again. And they're good at that. Ben Powers got his ass whooped by Justin Madubuike in one-on-ones. Haven't been able to focus on him a ton. Again, I'm trying to take notes on these guys. OA was disruptive, man. OA's fast. OA's disruptive as a pass rusher. Again, I'm probably going to say this 100 times, but him playing outside of the tackle as an outside linebacker is so much different from how he was used at Penn State. He was maybe slightly shaded as a 5, a good bit. He had a lot of run responsibility. He was a 4 inside technique all the time. So, it's a lot of run responsibility, a lot of surfing, a lot of low gear. You think about a guy like Pernell McPhee, he's responsible for the run a lot of the time. He's not just cleanly rushing upfield. Now we see OA really able to rush upfield. I think Houston's going to be huge for him. Houston's wearing 48, which was Queen's number last year. So if you got a 48 Queen jersey, you can go to a tailor and they'll stitch over the letters for you if you want. That's a good situation. He won't be thrown in like Hollywood. Hollywood wasn't thrown in though. So let me check real quick. Hollywood. I'm typing Hollywood. Marquise Brown stats. And let me go to Pro Football Reference real quick. I might be wrong. I don't think Hollywood Brown played more than 15 or 20 snaps his rookie year, or in his week 1 of his rookie year. I'm pretty sure he had 15 snaps, and that was the craziest part about his entire crazy year. Let's see. Splits, fantasy. Where's the snap counts? Let's see. How do you just find this? I feel like I'm better on my phone to find this. Anyway, quote me on that. Please tell me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Hollywood only played 15 snaps against Miami when he had those 2 touchdowns. So it was just an insane game, but he didn't have a ton of snaps overall. What was the personnel packages looking like? Garnet, you were asking me. I can't. I'm trying to take notes on guys, so I can't really give you they were running 11 personnel 47% of the time in a practice, but it was a lot of gun. There's a mixed bag. A couple times there was, Ricard and a tight end, or Andrews and Oliver. It was a mixed bag. There was a good bit of 11. There's a good bit of 12. There's a good bit of 22, all that stuff. So yeah, if somebody wants to look that up for me. I'm trying to do a live stream, so I don't want to be giving you dead air, but 10 yards per snap. Yeah, something like that. Has Bowser improved as a pass rusher? I think he is a solid pass rusher. I don't think he's a premier pass rusher. I don't think he's ever going to be a 13 sack guy, which isn't even premier necessarily, but very good. But he has speed. 14 snaps against the Dolphins. Thank you, Engraven. Exactly. So over 10 yards a snap. But ultimately, I think Bowser just he's a very, I'm going to make him sound like he's a bad pass rusher, but he's a very simple pass rusher. He's rushing upfield. He's working a rip. He's rushing upfield. He's converting speed to power. He's rushing upfield. He goes inside. He doesn't have a string of combos, a swipe and then a chop, or a swat, or a chop and then a rip, or things like that as much. He does one move and he uses his athleticism. He's strong. He has good hand placement from what I saw in his true pass rushing sets. If he plays 700 snaps and he has 350, 400 pass rushes, I think you see pretty similar sack numbers to Judon, at least, 6, 7, 8, 9 sacks. I don't know about pressures as much. Judon's was a very disruptive player. He wasn't a finisher necessarily with sacks and all that good stuff, but ultimately, I think he can be a 45 plus pressure guy with 6 to 8 sacks this year while being a weapon in coverage, being able to do some things, mugging the A gap, lining up straight over the center and doing some different things. So it's, going to be fun to see how that plays out ultimately with now Houston and OA and the different possibilities you have there. You can line McPhee up inside in sub packages. In the article that I wrote, the blitzing mullet, organized chaos, Wink Martindale, I'm talking about the DBs. Think about it. The Ravens are going up against Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, some pretty mobile quarterbacks this year. They have so much speed to just chase them now with the DBs that they can blitz, with Tavon Young coming back. Tavon Young will go get mobile quarterbacks. He will hunt them down. You're talking Deshaun Elliott. You're talking Chuck Clark. You're talking Patrick Queen. You're talking Malik Harrison. You're talking OA, who runs a 4.3, and we're calling that a combine 4.45. You're talking all these different fast pass rushers. Bowser and OA are the fastest pass rushing combination that the Ravens have had on the edges, like, ever. Those guys, Bowser ran like a low 4.6, and OA runs in the 4.3s, and we'll call it 4.4s at the combine. That speed, man, they're good. If you're trying to run and beat the pocket, Judon hustled his tail off. He was a bigger guy. He was heavier, 270. He wasn't quite able to really go eliminate angles the way that I think Bowser and especially OA can. Playing OA to the field side where there's more room, that is going to be scary for a Mahomes. If you're able to have Campbell and Madubuike and kicking Pernell McPhee inside, able to have disruption, it doesn't even have to be sacks. It just has to be disruption through the A and B gaps, flush them. You're getting chased down by a 6'5" guy with a mega wingspan who runs like a freaking horse. OA is going to be able to go corral guys and force them to not be able to work back upfield so that they can square and throw the ball downfield. You're going to have to be flat to the sideline more and try to throw the ball actually on a dead run, or you're going to have to fade away from him, and he's going to go get you. He reminds me of Judon. He's just faster, but he's not as I don't think he's as developed in terms of like timing and things all the way yet, but right now he's like a practice team all-pro. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when he gets different looks in different situations. But now you've got Justin Houston as well, and Houston is a sack getter, man. He's a 97 career sack guy. He's going to be able to wrangle some guys down and have some decent pursuit. Is he as fast in those situations? No. But in the first couple steps, he's going to take really smart angles. His pursuit is going to be really strong. It's going to be an outstanding thing to watch. So overall, it's been a lot of fun to think about. And it's, you got Rob Ryan. He's going to be a master of disaster. He's a Ryan Blitz family, squaring up LJ Ford, squaring up Patrick Queen, squaring up Malik Harrison, guys that can rush the passer. The one thing I will say is I haven't seen Malik Harrison take any snaps at anything other than inside linebacker, which is good for him to really get his work there. But I would like to see him used in a little bit of a variety role. At the same time, that's something that maybe comes later, or they just don't want to do it that way. But at the end of the day, I think that's something that could benefit the Ravens with his length and with some of his abilities. So it's going to be a fluid situation there eventually for him. He did take 53 snaps, I think, at outside linebacker last year. And a lot of it was in base downs, which makes sense. I don't think he's like a crazy pass rusher. But, yeah, Madubuike will replace one of the old Monstars for sure this season, mark my words. Yeah, I mean, those guys are old. One of them is going to miss time. Expecting Wolf and Campbell to be playing 34 games combined is just not going to happen. And if Madubuike can stay healthy, I don't know, man. He's a frightening human being. He is like I don't know what he weighs. I don't have a scale. I'm not in their facility. I want to say he's like 285, 290 maybe, like at the most. He is lean, 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 lean. So he's someone to be really excited about. I think he's going to be one of the cornerstone players potentially for the Ravens in the next couple of years. He really has high energy in practice. He's very engaged. He's talkative. He's communicating with his coaches very frequently. He seems to take to coaching really well. And, that stuff goes on in the classroom, not just on the field as well. So how's Deion Kane doing? I would definitely recommend rewinding and talking. He's doing really well. I like him a lot. But that's going to do it for me today. Went about 40 minutes here. Thank you so much for you guys all coming in and asking some questions. Darius Washington, I didn't have a ton of notes on today. He's taking a lot of reps, so I'll try and key on him. But some of these guys, I'm just waiting to have some game film on. Darius Washington, we're going to see him a lot. Brandon Stevens, we're going to see him a lot in these preseason games. But that does it for me, guys. Got some other stuff to do, got some articles to write, and I've got another job as well. So I'll be talking to you guys tomorrow after practice. Godspeed and see ya.